Our topic for today is consequences of child abuse on the victim, on the child. When a child is abused, when a child is tormented by an adult or a caregiver or somebody in authority over the child faces fear, the child experiences trauma, the child becomes afraid of the world, afraid of people around him or her, afraid of people in authority over her. That makes the child unable to trust. The child feels unsafe. He finds it difficult to trust anybody around him or her. So this makes the child unable to form a good relationship. A child is not able to relate well, is not able to communicate well with his peers, and even when it gets to romantic relationships, the adolescent finds it difficult because he's unable to trust anybody. He feels people are hostile, he feels the world is wicked. So now, this fear can translate into anxiety. Sometimes they get anxious about everything. They get anxious about their life, about their family, about their academics, about everything around them. They get afraid. So when they are afraid, most times in the course of abuse, the child feels sad. That's the usual thing. Feels sad about what happened. He feels depressed. He feels lonely because he doesn't even know who to trust. When you can't trust your caregivers, who are you going to trust? So he feels lonely, and sometimes they isolate themselves. They just want to be alone all by themselves, especially in the cases of sexual abuse, because the child is ashamed. He feels ashamed of himself. Sometimes they blame themselves for what happens. So when they blame themselves and when they're ashamed of themselves, they don't want to associate with people. They want to just be all by themselves. Okay, so when this happens, sometimes the child wants to cope, or the adolescent wants to cope with these situations with substance use. So that's when you see them smoking, drinking, engaging in illicit drugs, just because they want to feel better, just because they want to deal with the pain they are feeling inside, just because they want to get over what is happening to them. So when they get into substance, they become addicted to it. So when the person is now addicted, sometimes they get unfortunate that they get to the other extreme of mental illness, that they start hallucinating, they start hearing voices. The voices might start confirming some of those things they have been passing through, some of those things, the loneliness, the hopelessness, the shame that they are experiencing. Some of those voices might start confirming them, start telling them how useless and how worthless they are. And some of them, at a point, wants to end it. Because when they are experiencing all this, especially when there is no support for the child, when there is nobody to stand in for the child, especially when even the perpetrators are just out there moving on with their lives and having all the glory, the child feels that the best thing is to end it. So that's when we see youth and adolescent suicide. They attempt suicide, they have suicidal ideations, and sometimes they succeed, they end it. Most times this suicide is mostly seen with children or adolescents that experience sexual abuse, because of the associated shame and the blame they give to themselves, because they feel it's all their fault. They feel it was because of them. So another thing that happens is that, especially with children or adolescents that experience sexual abuse, some of them, they have what we call eating disorder. They tend to eat a lot. They tend to eat unbalanced food because they want to add weight. They want to become obese. So they believe that when they become obese, when they are out of shape, that they will not be attractive to their perpetrators, that they will become unattractive. So they get to eat so much that sometimes they get obese, sometimes they might not, but they have what we call eating disorder. There's also one thing that is important that happens with children that experience abuse. They find it difficult to concentrate. They find it difficult to focus on a task. So when they are finding, because of the things happening around them, because they're always lost in thought, thinking of the terrible things that have happened to them, so they're always lost in thought, and they find it difficult to concentrate. So that affects their education. So that's when you see that there is a drop in their academic performance. From that drop in academic performance, they might end their schooling. They might drop out of school, and they might not wish to continue. So that's why you see that the child did not even finish his education. He did not even complete his studies because he can't concentrate. He or she might not do well again in school. Okay, then sometimes apart from them feeling pain, feeling lonely and sad, they start externalizing those pain that they are feeling. They start reacting. They bounce back to the world. They start reacting to the world by engaging in what we call conduct disorders. So that's when you see the child now turns around, like it looks like the child is fighting the world. The child is disobedient to the parents, to the teachers, to any authority figure. He's disobedient. People might start tagging him as a bad child, start tagging him as a spoiled person. But the child is just reacting to what happens to him. The same conduct behavior, the child can start being aggressive. See the child being violent, fighting everybody, being verbally and physically aggressive. So now, some of them also tend towards criminal behaviors. They don't care about if they are caught. They don't care about what happens again. After all, they don't have anything to lose. So they might engage in stealing, they might engage in robbery, and after a while, they might even turn around to engage in the same abuse that they are a victim of. So you see that they will start abusing other children. By the time they get to adolescence, they get to adult stage, they will start abusing other children. So you see, if these children do not get the appropriate help that they need, the circle turns around, the table turns around, that they will start being a threat, not just to themselves, but to the society at large. So see that these children, they need our help. They need our support. The onus lies on every one of us. Don't think it does not concern you. Don't think your child is not involved. There is something you can do. That child in your neighborhood that is being abused, that person that has cried out to you that is a victim, seek for justice, seek for help. Help that child to get the right treatment he needs. Help that child to get the right support that he needs. I know that so many non-governmental organizations are doing a whole lot to support the child, but you can be a voice for that child to get to those NGOs. You can help that child to access that help that the child needs, so that the child can be able to be free from the pain he's experiencing. The child can be free from the trauma that he's going through, so that the child can grow into a healthy adult. For the perpetrators, you can seek justice for them. You can seek justice, and they can be brought to book. I will leave the link of these NGOs that I'm talking about in my page, so that you can see their contacts and you can reach out to them. If you are a victim, I will encourage you, reach out to these NGOs so that you can get the right help that you need. If you have seen anybody that has such problems, help them to seek help, so that we can protect these children and be able to break this cycle from turning around and them being a threat not just to themselves but to the society at large. Let's stop child abuse. Let's protect the child. Thank you very much for listening.